Kamal, a 12-year-old living in a low-income neighborhood with his parents and aunt, exhibits violent behavior at school. Teachers have requested counseling intervention to address his aggression. During sessions, Kamal revealed a pattern of abuse by his aunt when his parents are at work, recounting an incident where a push resulted in a stitched elbow. His anger towards his aunt is palpable, and he expresses a desire to retaliate. The counselor faces the challenge of addressing both Kamal's trauma and his violent tendencies. How will they navigate the need for safety for all parties involved? What resources might be necessary in this situation? Listen to our counselor who handled Kamal's case and the answers she provided to the teacher's pressing questions. Why is Kamal so aggressive and violent with other children? He does not seem interested in studies at all.
Yeah, so in this child, the behavior is seen. But what is not seen is the thoughts, the feelings that go on in the child's head. And the child is going through a lot at home. He is being beaten up every day. It is a very difficult situation at home. And we believe in TBRI, that is the trust-based relational intervention, that is a meaning behind every behavior. So if the child is behaving violently in class, why is that? Children are excellent imitators. If they see the good things happening in home, that's what they reflect. If they see violent behaviors at home, that's what's going to be reflected in the classroom. And as teachers, if you are a teacher, you're right there in the classroom, try to get insight into the child's life. Why is the child behaving? It's very difficult for teachers to look beyond the behavior. But that's what we have to do, is to look beyond the behavior. Yes, he is behaving very violent, but why is that? So only when you talk to the child, you're able to understand. Another question was, why is the child not interested in studying? Why is he not studying well? He doesn't seem to be interested. He's going through a lot of stress, being constantly beaten up. It is a very stressful situation for a child, and probably the child is in a survival brain. All he thinks is, how do I survive? How do I get through each day? And his focus might not be on education, it is on survival. It is important for us to understand that and understand maybe that's the reason why he is not showing interest in studies. So if we can find ways on how we can reduce the stress or help the child deal with the stress, then he might start showing interest in his studies.
Given a class size of 30 to 40 students, consistently offering personalized support to every child is difficult. What strategies can I use to help this particular student?
Okay, this is a question we hear every time when we take training for teachers. Classroom is big, only one teacher. How do I deal with children in a very individual manner? Normally what happens is, when the teacher is teaching, something happens, the children get violent, immediately the teacher shouts, deals with it then and there in front of the whole class. So here is an alternative. Take the child aside once class is over, not in front of the whole class. Take them aside and have conversations with them. Not all children would like to talk, but try to have conversations. But before that, as a teacher, you need to believe something very, very strongly. I can't stress this enough. It has to be a belief that you have as a teacher or even as a parent, that a bad behavior does not equal a bad child. Just because the child behaves badly, he is not a bad child. You need to believe that so strongly, so you're able to approach the child with that belief. So now you have taken the child aside. Start by encouraging them for something good that they did in the classroom that you saw. And again, it's a big classroom, you might not have seen very keenly, but probably before the child got violent, he was listening for about 5 minutes or about 10 minutes. Appreciate that and then move on to what you want to correct. So encourage the child, hey, you were listening for 5 minutes and that was really good, I really appreciate that. I was not so happy with how you behaved after that. When you started hitting the child, I was not so happy with that. So first encourage and then move on to that. Now, why I'm saying this is because some children have grown up hearing a lot of negative labels. So these labels, this boy is very angry all the time, this girl is very unruly, she's very rude, she's always beating the kids, and this is something they've heard all the life. first grade, second grade, third grade. By fifth grade, the child is going to say, I am a rude child, I am unruly, I am angry, I am a child who always beats. And they just continue with these negative labels. So when you bring in the approach of appreciating them for something good that they did, like you are a good listener, you were listening for 5 minutes, or you're a patient kid, I saw you being patient and helping the child the other day, you're creating positive labels. So they can hold on to these positive labels and try to do much more good things in their classrooms. We all know a lot about to-do lists. We create to-do lists, things that we need to do in a day, but this is an alternative. Create or encourage the child to create a not to-do list. So in this not to-do list, in the day they're going to write things that they will not do. I will not beat my friend, I will not speak bad words, I will not hurt another child. Let them write these not to do lists, and at the end of the day they go back home and think, hey, I did not beat the child today. It just helps them prove that they are much more than they think they are. They are good, they're capable of doing good things. And creating not to do lists is an encouragement for them as well. They're able to keep track. So this is something that we suggest for older children.
What steps would you take as a counselor to help this child manage his anger?
Okay. So as a counselor, when I was dealing with this child in this school, the main need that I saw, or the main goal of my counseling, was anger management. Because the behavior, it was significantly disturbing, was the violent behaviors in the classroom. When we were probing and trying to find out where these anger comes from, is when this child shared of how much they're being beaten up at home. That the child had to go through stitches because of how badly he was beaten. And there was a lot of anger in him. He shared that he wanted to hurt his aunt and wanted to take revenge, and he would be so happy if she was just not there. And that was how much anger is just pent up in him. And so main goal is anger management techniques, and also able to understand where these anger comes from. That is something that you should be able to do as a counselor. Find out the source of the problem. And so right now we can only see how we can deal with the child then and there. Now as a counselor, I can't go home and change everything in his home. That's not possible. So how can I help the child? Our goal in anger management is not to help the child control their anger, but how to manage their anger effectively. Two types of anger here that we are dealing with. One is pent-up anger and the other is situational anger. Pent-up anger is all the anger that he has carried so far from all the years of the physical abuse in his home. It's all he's been carrying is a pent-up anger. And situational anger is a anger that comes with each situation, with something that triggers him at that moment in the classroom or even at home. So how do we deal with pent-up anger? So pent-up anger is anger that he's been holding on to a very long time. So conversation really helps. As a parent or a teacher, to have conversations, and as a counselor, that's what we're doing, having conversations about that. And also he loved drawing about it, drawing and showing, and he really enjoyed villainizing his aunt. He gave her a very ugly weapon and all that. So it was something that he enjoyed doing. But that also helped him release that pent-up anger in a bit. Him drawing his aunt. And he can even draw his aunt as a non-threatening person. That also helps him deal with his anger. So for pent-up anger, we talk about drawing, using poem writing if they're good at it, talking. All of this helps with pent-up anger. So just seeing how they can do that. And these are through art forms. Now other ways to deal with pent-up anger is physical activities, walking, running, having regular exercises. It really helps. So that all the anger, if you're just going to teach the child, control your anger, don't show your anger. One day it's going to be one big storm. So we're just asking them and encouraging the child to just deal with it then and there. So the second type is situational anger. Now this is anger situations that happened in the classroom, which the teachers also had some issues with. And so one technique that we use in situational anger is role plays. So just sitting with the child and enacting an event that might happen in the classroom. So he shared an event that happened, what made him angry and why he beat up this child, which he had to go meet the principal for. So we took that situation and acted out how exactly it happened. We acted it out. And then I asked him, so what are some other ways you could have acted following these 3 rules? So the 3 rules that we teach for anger management of children is I cannot hurt myself, I cannot hurt others, and I cannot destroy property. And so they repeat these 3 rules, and they take these rules that okay, next time I get angry, I'm going to make sure that I follow these 3 rules in my anger. And so with these 3 rules, he enacted. So how else he would have acted? Now role plays are very, very effective because they are doing it. It becomes a muscle memory. It becomes something they remember next time they get angry. So we had to deal with pent-up anger and situational anger, and that's how I dealt with it in this counseling session.
How can the parents help and support their child?
As parents, the first priority is the safety of the child. In home, in the classroom, wherever the child is, that is the first priority for the parents. So in this situation, what we had to do is talk to the parents and see if it can be reduced. So the parents, for some time, they had sent the aunt to their relative's house, and during those days of counseling session, the child was so happy. He was like, I'm so happy, she's no more in my life, everything is great, everything is going well. And that also reflected a bit in how he dealt with anger in the classroom. There were no much violent behaviors reported during that time. And that really shows how what happens in home really affects how they deal with things here. So as a parent, it is very important, like how these parents prioritize their child's safety, and really saw how the aunt can be removed in this situation. Steps like this would really help, and what parents can do. I hope you were able to get some insights into how we deal with children. And we as a team of counselors, we are doing a lot of counseling sessions in many schools in and around Bangalore. We take training sessions for parents and teachers because our understanding is this. We are dealing with children, we are doing counseling sessions, we are intervening in their lives, but they go back to homes, they go back to their schools. So we want to equip parents and we want to equip teachers so they are in the same track and really help to uplift the child. And if you know of any child, your child is in need of counseling, please reach out to us at santoshasamsara.org, and we are here to help you.